Susan, and this is Confessions of an SEO. The purpose behind this podcast is to bring SEOs together with the businesses they serve to experience a more reasonable balance of power and to provide a respite from all the FOMO and responsibilities that are often thrust on SEOs, some of it self-inflicted, when in reality it is Google who should be held accountable. Let's begin. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 24 of Confessions of an SEO. I hope today this finds you well. This week I was working on the topic and it started with a little idea, which, escalated quickly. And honestly, I can tell you at the end of the journey, as I look back on all of this, I found the whole thing charming. It's not an SEO success, but it's more of a human story. So I'm calling this episode WWJD. What would John Mueller do? John Mueller is the senior search analyst and search relations team lead at Google, and someone that many SEOs and business owners look to for SEO guidance and to get better results for their own sites and search. So feel free to sit down, grab a drink, and let me tell you what I did. So the background on this is I took a look and confirmed that, we can search high and low in Google, but Google as an organization, a technology organization, doesn't really tell us how to optimize a site. And last week's episode references some of this, but this week after that, I got to thinking, what if they are just winging it? What if they really think and really believe that successful SEO is merely just quality content? Think about that. Now, admittedly, they are seen as the expert on SEO because everyone breathlessly awaits, whatever pronouncement on whatever's next. And people in the industry, they sort of authoritatively parrot it back ad nauseum. Or it's basically people just they give up, and they're getting out of SEO. So could it really be possible that even those who work at Google don't really see or understand the root of their own SERP success? They don't see how all that human activity of expectation, and it's on an enterprise level, meaning there are lots of people, company, organizations that are taking what they say and, running with it. So let's just say Google updates a Google document page. Well, that gets picked up at many SEO news websites. And those articles, they link back to the Google Doc. And then the ones that write the news networks that write the articles, well, there's a lot of SEO-related sites that link to them. And that links back to the Google Doc. And ultimately, it just goes on and on and on until, let's say we're down to social media posts. And it's like what do they call it? The woman who ate the fly. Right? So it's easy to them. And that our problem, because we don't so easily rank as they do, it must be, in their view, we're just not creating quality content. But what if it's more a sign that based on their experience, they cannot understand the challenges of ranking a local plumber site? So I started to wonder then, rather than just, bear down on that and get all miserable and depressed, I started to wonder, what would John Mueller do? What would the Google SEO liaison do if he were to set up a website and intend it to rank? Now, I can't really ask him. I mean, I could, but it would mean sort of like hanging out online and waiting for the right time. And I don't know that he would answer these questions. And he probably would point me to the same articles that I found. Okay, so I'm just kind of short-circuiting that. So if he did want to do that, at the very least, that would mean a domain and hosting. And fortunately, some people have asked some of these questions, different angles, but I think we can glean something out of it. I'll put the links in the description, and there's also going to be an article. Yeah, this isn't just a podcast episode. There'll be a companion article so you can see all the glorious things that I'm going to talk about and that I found. So when you hear this, go ahead and search for WWJD Confessions of an SEO. I'll also share the links in the article to the software that I use to compile the data, as well as images and all that kind of stuff. So both of these articles, the one about the domain and one I found about hosting, they both came from Search Engine Journal. The first one I'm going to talk about is from this year, June 2023. And he talked about domain selection. Specifically, it was practical, but like if you're targeting a specific country, there are some domains where, like in England, it's .co.uk. Australia has one. And he talked about, if you're targeting a group of people that are in a country where they have a very specific country code, specific top level domain, that you should go for that. However, if you're not, you would be best served to use a generic top level domain. Now, I agree with that. He also added, and this is where I might divert, I guess, a little from it. He also said that he would stay away from top level domains that are super cheap, as if that's a bad thing, or predominantly used by spammers. Now, I'm not a spammer, but dang it, I do like to save a few pennies here and there. Ironically, I was once referred to as a cheapskate, and that was from someone who was Scottish. So the difference, apparently, they preferred to think they were frugal, whereas my moves were cheap. So technically, I'm Scottish as well. So I can also say I am frugal. So as a frugal domain purchaser, I take offense at that remark. But anyway, moving on. So, all right, John would definitely choose a .com. All right. I mean, I don't think there's any question on that. But hosting, what would he do for hosting? So, December 2021, Search Engine Journal, he responded to a question from someone who had a client moving from Wix onto a self-hosted WordPress installation. Now, here's where it gets interesting because his response was to defend Wix. Now, those of us who've been in SEO for more than a minute remember when Wix was dreadful for SEO. You could, create a title, an H1 as a title, but you couldn't do anything in the body. And it was like, what? So I know they've improved. John feels they have too. And he thought that, the progress they had made moving a site off of Wix for SEO reasons non-existent. He did say that, they also made their sites so that they load really, really fast. Now, he was also quick to note that speed is only a tiny part of SEO. But he discouraged self-hosting. And I'm reading his answer, and it seems like I may have got it wrong, but it seems like he was assuming they were talking about dedicated servers that were self-managed by the business. Now, that's not what most independent businesses opt for. What I found interesting about it is that because he works in enterprise, he kind of assumes everyone does. So, just it's not irritating, but it is kind of like out of touch, right? He also noted that WordPress is still somewhat popular. And like I say, thought the move away from Wix was unnecessary. So, I'm going to guess if John were to have a site, it would probably be on like a site builder platform like Wix. Now, personally, I'm not seeing WordPress fading away or something that is somewhat popular. It seems to be pretty popular, like everywhere. And the only times I've worked on anything else were a few dark days, and it was a Drupal e-commerce site. Oh my God, shoot me now. All right, so moving on. If you're going to do a website, obviously you have to have a topic, right? So I wondered if I could find anything out about his interests outside of SEO. Well, it appears he does have hobbies, and I found where he referenced them. You know what he likes? He likes cheese and espresso, but not together. Guess what? I like cheese and espresso, and I also share John's preference to not put them together. We could be topical twins. So already, what do we have? So we sort of have a niche, it's based on his interests, hosting, but we've yet to deduce a domain name, but I'm sure we'll get that. So about now I'm thinking, for a domain, what if he went with his own name? Because that's a solid move. If you're out there and you don't have your name as the domain, whatever your name is, .com, I think you should go do it. I actually did it when our son was little. And so he's in his late 20s now. And if he ever got into blogging or anything, he's got a domain with his name. And it's solid. Anyway, so now I'm thinking, all right, let me check and let me look for, johnmueller.com. Well, it turns out it was registered back in 1998. Now what did I do? So I looked at his social media, and he actually does use a shortened version of his name, John Mew, I guess. New as in Mew, M-U. That's also a short, memorable domain name and is highly desirable. And I looked that up. That was registered in 2007. So I did notice he had a website links on his social media, but I wanted to kind of go like, well, let me just see, right? Let me just see if did he do both names or one of them? So I went to the one that's fully spelled out. And that John Mueller looks like is an architect. And that he hails from Helena, Montana, or I should say Helena, Montana. Yeah, how's that for a little Hunt for Red October reference? Okay, so then I went to johnmew.com, and of course, bingo! So bold move, Mr. Mueller. So now we know what John would do. He'd use his own name. But before he went further, I wondered, well, what platform would he use? One of those site builders. Is it going to be Wix? What's it going to be? So I went and took a look. It is not Wix. Okay, now to be fair, he said that if a site was already on Wix, he wouldn't move it. But I wondered what hosting, was good enough to catch the engineering eye of John Mueller. Now, there are online checkers to see where a site is hosted. And the answer, it turns out, is, drumroll please, fastly.com. They're a cloud platform. And guess where they got their name servers? GoogleDomains.com, and so on. Nice. So you'd like, I'm sure, as a hosting provider, you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of someone high up at Google, right? So it's kind of a cool little power move. Well, if you use their servers and they go down, who are they going to blame? You for their servers going down? It's kind of like talk about making it to where that if there's any server problems, Google will know about it before your client knows, right? So anyway, now on to the site itself. So I got there, and on the homepage it reads, and I quote, "If you're looking for secret background information to Google search, you've come to the wrong place." Fair enough. I figured the topic would not be about his day job. Scrolling down, though, I honestly had to Google some of what just appears to be nonsense. Now, I'm not an engineer, and I don't, put these little motherboards together, but apparently he does. And specifically ESP32 boards. Now, when you read about it, he does put a lot of, links in. He cites his sources and everything. The only, not a complaint, but the only observation would be, there's no affiliate move here, but okay. So as I move down the page at summaries of all the articles, I'm beginning to wonder, where's the cheese? Where's the espresso references? I get not putting them together, but not putting them anywhere on here. What gives? So now I'm curious. What does this site rank for? And enter SEMrush Organic Ranking Report. And it might surprise you, but for his name, fully spelled out, John Mueller is not on page 1. He's on page 2. And that surprises me, given all the search volume for his name. Now, I'll share the full list in the article, but overall, I wondered if I was doing a business audit, what would I say? So I might say, John, let's focus on some brand or some money keywords, because what is all this mess? Now, he really seems to like to play around with the ESP32 boards, and he provides his code, how he sets it up. And as I kind of got into it, I'm thinking, this is pretty cool. I mean, he's very open and sharing, and there's pictures. You can see he's, whatever it is that he did, you see the picture of it. I assume that's being held in his hand. And it was nice. But getting back to what it ranked for, the search phrase he ranks the highest for, he's in number 3 spot, according to SEMrush, and it's ESP8266, then Wi-Fi.persistent. And that data is as current as August 20th. So I always like to know, well, where is it right now? So I ran a volatility report. Now, I use Quora software, as many of you know, and it does multiple searches, some sequentially. And then because we know there's certain volatility in the SERPs, and so it kind of levels all that out. So you can see really what position you're in. It gives you additional KPIs for ranking. And turns out that that thing that's number 3 in SEMrush is actually just over half the time really at the number 5 spot. So like I would tell my clients, there is some bad news, but the good news is there's room for improvement. So what else am I going to look at next, right? The robots text file. And this is where the fun begins, because I found out where he puts the cheese and espresso together on the page, just not the URL. There was a page that caught my eye, and the slug at the end is "you should not cheese here.html," and it reads, once you go to the page, why are you here? That's what it says. Why are you here? Do you like cheese? Who sent you? What is life? Is JavaScript evil? Is this evil? If you like cheese, you're going to love this. And then this is hyperlinked to yet another page on his site. And, well, I feel like now I've entered one of my own ridiculous test pages. How could I not click on this? Because I do like cheese. Well, when I clicked on it, I did grab the URL that it goes through. And it doesn't end up on his site, but it goes through a URL on his site, which the slug reads, roll moves lancet cheese.html. So all I'm going to say about that is never going to give you up, John Mueller. So when you find the article, the link will be in there, and I think you're going to get that reference. Okay, so with all the interesting and non-money keyword clusters and a curiously intricate robots text file, now I am super curious. In fact, I am uber curious about his backlinks. I'm almost certain that out of the 10,000 plus backlinks that point to his site, he did not make a single one himself. So I'm going to go back to the organic report in SEMrush. So these are the page one terms, that ESP8266 Wi-Fi.persistent. Okay, that's number 3. John Mew is number 6. John Mueller SEO is number 7. Mozcast is number 8. Same for Moz Weather Report. And John Mueller, if it's misspelled, but the U and the E flipped out, that's at number 9, along with Moz SEO Weather Report and SEO Moz Weather. To find John Mueller, all spelled out and correctly, that URL is at number 12. So if you've been around me for any time, you know that sometimes I see things like that and I just can't leave them alone. So now we're going to shift into WWJD. What would Carolyn do? Well, first, I find an easy win. And call me crazy, but I think John Mueller's real estate should rank 1, 2, or 3 for his own name, don't you? It kind of looks strange that it doesn't already. So I headed over to the search results. Well, it seems that there are a number of John Muellers. And this particular page, it's what you would call a disambiguation page. So it's like a collection of URLs where Google's asking, are you looking for this John Mueller? Are you looking for that John Mueller? Or maybe you're looking for this third alternate John Mueller. So there's a political scientist, there's our John, there's somebody who is no longer with us, but was apparently an excellent Texas barbecue master. So when I go through that and I look for John Mueller Google, because I'm clarifying now which one I'm looking for, it actually gets worse. His site's at number 14. That's not right. Right? You guys are with me, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to link to his site and to the homepage. Now, why the homepage? I did take a look, and interestingly enough, and unusually so, most of the people linking to his site are linking to internal pages. So he's got some room on the homepage. And I think if we were to provide some exact match anchor for his name, that might send enough signal at least to push it up. Now, too often I see all the backlinks to a site going to the homepage because it's really rare to see him on the inner, but I think, because of his topic and the engineering stuff that he shares, it's people really like it, and obviously they're linking right to it, to the pages. So anyway, here's what I'm going to propose. All right, do it, don't do it, but if you have any sense of play in your body, please consider that if you have an easy way to send one link, that's all. Don't do something naughty, okay? Just send one link to his homepage, and pick something like either for the anchor text, John Mueller or John Mueller Google or John Mueller Google SEO. All right, something like that. Alternatively, if you want to link to this podcast, because there'll be a link on this description, so you would link to the episode, this episode, and that by you linking to that, that can strengthen the link here that's going to point to his site. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's reasonable that I would link to his site after doing a whole episode about it. And you can also, if you were to link to this episode, pick from the same anchor text. Now, if you want to use the power of the mouse, search for John Mueller and click on his website result, which at the time of this recording for his name, it's, I think if it's John Mueller SEO, I think it's number 19. But anyway, you'll find it. It's on page 2. Click on it and just hang out there and read some of the stuff that he's writing about. It's really, not mainstream topics. It seems to be super engineering, but it is interesting. Those ESP32 boards, looks like they run about $5. And I can see now why there's not an affiliate play out there for them. But if there's anybody out there ready to play with me on this, I challenge you to let's do it and help John rank for his name, ideally on that disambiguation page. Let's bring him up, I'm going to be watching. I think we can make this happen. So the next time any of us have cheese or we engage with an espresso, just for that moment, think about John and know that we do know what John would do. Cheers. Well, that's it for this week. Check out Crawl or No Crawl reports for new findings in the ongoing indexation research while you can. Those are going to be on YouTube for a little while longer. The indexer is halfway put together, and I'm still trying to figure out a name. So if you're interested in taking a poll on it, let me know. I may pop it up on my Facebook page anyway. Thank you to the supporters of Confessions, and thank you for being a listener. Please come back and bring a friend. If you like this type of SEO content and stories, please consider becoming a monthly sponsor. It's been my pleasure to be with you today, and I will see you in the SERPs.